Welcome to my next YouTube watercolor video. We're going to be using the White Knight Yarka paints, and this is a professional palette, so you can use any kind of palette you have at home. This is just doesn't have to be on professional, you know, professional watercolors and professional paper. I'm just using professional watercolors and professional paper. I'm using Arches watercolor paper. It's 300 GSM. And today we will be using the colors Cadmium Lemon Medium, also Yellow Green, Burnt Umber, scratch that, Burnt Sienna. We will be using Ultramarine Blue and a very beautiful indigo. Okay, so first we're going to start with get right into the painting, start with our background. Oh, like, subscribe, and share if you like this video and you want to learn more techniques and tricks to watercoloring. Well, I'm going to actually lighten my sketch first because I don't want dark pencil lines in the background. Just going to use this kneaded eraser. Roll it over top of it. It lightens the sketch to where you won't have a ton of graphite underneath your watercolor. That's just not a look that I'm going for today. So, you want to do that first, then move into wetting the whole of the background. So wet all the background of the whole paper. You don't need it super saturated. You just need a glistening. Once you see it glisten and a little shiny, do not wet the bird, just the background. It's okay if you wet the branch though, because the background is going to be gray as well as the branch. So if you get a little watercolor on your branch, it's fine from the background. This is a songbird that I found that I thought was so pretty. And it's a myrtle warbler, I want to say. And you can find them in Indiana, where I live. So, with the background, we're going to be using the burnt sienna mixed with a little bit of the ultramarine blue, which should give us a nice gray. Sometimes it's better to have less colors because if you have less colors, it's not going to muddy up your painting. The more colors you add to a painting, the easier your colors can start looking muddy and mixing together and not looking very sharp. All right. I got my daughter next to me. She's painting one also. So we're just going to go ahead and go in. You done, Lily?
Yeah.
This is only her second watercolor painting, and we'll have to show you what it looks like in the end. And she is 11 going on 12, so if she can do it, then anybody can. It's just a nice activity since we are stuck in the house, can't go anywhere. Kind of sucks. All right, so I'm going to be mixing up my gray, burnt sienna. You know, we're doing a whole background, so it's okay to mix up a little bit more than you think you're going to need, because we're going to go in later and we're going to be using it also on the bird and on the tree branch. Now with my background, I am never too precise with it. It doesn't bother me if things aren't looking just like the background that's on the painting. So I'm just going to start over here in this corner with my beautiful gray, working it all the way through. The beak is black, so it doesn't matter if you get a little gray on the beak because it's going to be really dark anyway. My daughter's using Arteza paper, and she's using the paints. What are those paints called?
I don't know.
They're from a company on Amazon. They also sell tins.
Starry Night palette, I think. I don't know what it is.
They also sell tins, which are super cute. But you can use the tin. They sell tins that's blank, and you can put your own paints in them. But the paints are actually really good that they sell. She got those for Christmas, so. And I tried them yesterday, and they are good. Alrighty, so getting the background done. All right, moving on. You done almost, Lily? No, it's okay. You can take your time. I'll pause this and then we will, well, actually I'll do some of my, because some of the background doesn't have just, it's not just a flat wash of gray. Okay, so I'm going to add a couple specks of brown to the background, like so, just to give it some interest. And dimension. Adds a little something to the painting. All right. There's that side and a little bit on this side. And then we're going to add a little tad bit of the blue plain. All these colors, since my my paint is watery and my paper is still wet, these will mix pretty good. And then I'm going to add some green, the yellow green. And I'm going to try to focus the yellow green a little bit more on the edges of the painting. If you get any on your bird where you don't want it, you can just take a little bit of your paper towel, try to blot it off. A lot of my bird is going to be dark though, so There's a little bit of stuff there. I'm not too worried about some of him having paint on him where I didn't really want it. There that goes. Now, watercolor always dries lighter than what you think it was going to. So I'm going to spray the edges right here on this side so that it blends in a smidge more. Gives it a beautiful painterly look. We're not trying to be precise with this bird. Trying to just give it a nice, soft painting look. Watercolor painting look. Okay, so I think that's good for now. We're going to stop the video, let this background dry, and then we'll move on to the bird itself. Alright, so our paintings are dry. Later on, we might go back through and work a little bit more on the background to sharpen up the image a little, but it is a really blurred out background that I'm looking at. But we're going to go ahead and go in with the yellow paint that's underneath the wing. And there's a little bit on the head. So we'll go in with yellow. We're going to use lemon yellow, cadmium lemon. We're going to start off with the lighter yellow first, because you always want to work from light to dark in watercolor. You've got to gradually build up your colors so that the colors have more dimension. That's the beautiful thing about watercolors, is that they, it's easy to how do I say it? It's easy to layer them, and it makes them more translucent. You can see under the underpainting of it. So you do the lighter colors first, and then you move on to the darker colors. I'm going to go on top of his little head. I say his because I feel like it's probably a boy. There's a little tiny smidge of this yellowy, neon yellow color on the top of his head. That would be it with the yellow.
For some reason my thing wants to be blue.
No.
See?
Oh, it's fine. It's a yellowy green color. That's what lemon yellow is. It's supposed to be that color. Let me see. Perfect. I do have to say that the White Nights paints are some of my most favorite paints. They work very good. Make for beautiful pictures. They're very bright. All right, so now, after we get our yellow on, we are going to go into the places that do not touch the wet spots that we just made. We could work on the beak, we can work on the eye, we can work on, let's see, what else? The tail. We don't want to touch anything right here or anything that's on the head, because that's where our wet spots are. So we're going to go, I like to make my own grays and my own blacks. So I'm going to mix up a gray again. I got my burnt sienna. And my ultramarine blue. More blue you add to it, more ultramarine you add to it, the more cool of a gray it's going to be. And it makes for a really nice dark gray. Yeah, perfect, Molly. All right. So we're going to add some water to this. We want to keep it fairly kind of darker-ish, but not too dark. This is going to be our shading for the bird's tail. You ready, Lily? Okay. We're going to go work on the tail. Even if you think stuff is white, it usually isn't white. Okay. Usually stuff always has a color to it. If you were to take a piece of white paper and sit it right next to the color you thought was white, it's not white. We're working on the dark parts of the tail right now. We can always go back in, darken these up later when we're doing our details on this photo. I'm going to darken up the paint a little more, get it thicker, more almost black. And I'm going to start working on the face of the bird. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush also. These brushes I got off of Amazon. They are the dynamic distraction brushes. I used a 12 for the background, but I'm going to use a smaller brush for the eyes and the beak. We're going to use a 0.
Oh, let's use the 1.
There we go. It didn't want to focus. All right. So a 0, a 1, even a 2 is fine. You just got to make sure it's small enough to get in there to make your details. Get your details in. Now, the white of the eye, I try to leave a speck because you want to try to save your highlights. But if you don't save your highlights, you can always go back and, which I told my daughter that yesterday, you can go back and you can add it in with a gel pen. It's not the end of the world if you accidentally cover up a highlight. For some reason, I just really like painting birds because they're so colorful and cute. There's a white underneath his eye right here. And then there's like a blue-gray on top of it, but then there's a spot that we want to keep somewhat of a whitish gray. We're going for a painterly look though, so this isn't going to have every detail that you would see in the photo. Going for a look that's just kind of hints at what kind of bird it is instead of, you know, being too precise. Okay, now there's also some spots on the wing area and right by the yellow, which the yellow is dry now. It should be dry. So there's some spots on the wing area where you can go in and kind of define them. The birds are chirping. Okay. Looks good.
It's not spreading.
Use mine.
With my paper or something.
Yes. It's not wet enough. Alrighty. So we got all of our colors in. Now, this is another technique. You can do it if you want. You don't have to. There's a few white spots where we can lift up. I'm going to bring this down in here a smidge more also. There's a few spots where I kind of want to lift up some of the paint where there was supposed to be more of a highlight of white feathering. See if I can get it to suck up some paint. I'm going to take this towel and start soaking up this. On the bird's chest. That's cute. Okay. Moving on to this area. I like the way this area is looking because it's lighter right there. His wings. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and drag some of this color in to the white a smidge, so it's not such a stark line right there. Gives it a little more dimension. And then this part right here is supposed to have a smidge bit of blue also. So we're gonna go in there. So we're adding a little bit of detail to the bird. I'm gonna go back in and, especially on the chest, and put in my little drops of the gray. I think it just adds more definition to him. All right, mixed up some more. I think that's as far as I want to go with the darkness for now, and I will come back once it's a little drier and add a little bit more coloring to it of the dark color. And we will also add the grayness to the rest of the bird and work on the wings some more. All right, I'm going to add some detailing with my small zero brush. Dynamic Distraction. You can find this on Amazon. My daughter has one as well, has a set, and she loves it too. All right, here we go. Take in just that dark blue paint, which was the indigo blue pretty much. And we are making little lines and dots, and it makes it look like his little feathers. And you need to go with the grain of the bird's feathers, the way the bird's feathers would go. This is what gives them the illusion that it gives you the illusion that it's feathers instead of just a plain flat wash of blue. This adds in dimension. Now his head was a little bit lighter than, if you recall, by the wing there was a dark underneath the wing. There's a really dark black almost. So we're going to go ahead and get that in there. All right, we're back. I had to pull up my picture again. Continuing with the speckles underneath the wing. Kind of want these fairly dark, and quite a bit of them, because he has a really dark patch by his belly and under that wing, under the yellow. and then it starts to go up and follow the shape of the bird's breast. So we're going to go up towards this way. I'm going to alternate between the dark gray color that we made and some of that blue. So it doesn't turn into just one lump of color. Back by here, there's some more color. You got to remember, this always dries lighter than what it is when you put it down onto the paper. Now, above this wing, there is some areas where it's added part of wing, but it's like a little triangle. Tanky.
No, it's so loud. He's getting his nest ready.
Mm-hmm. And in the white space, there's a little space where it's triangle, almost of pure black paint. On the bird's wing. So right now we're just adding in all of our details to our little birdie. All right, so I'm gonna do that, but I'm also going to blend it out some. Doesn't look so harsh. Up into his neck. All right, looks much better. Gives it more dimension. I'm going to blot my brush off, and I'm going to start making lines in this. For some of the feathers, getting up some of the paint. Alrighty. And then we're gonna go in this section and do a very light gray wash, very light. Take a tiny bit of this gray paint, add more water to it. I'm gonna get my bigger brush. I'm gonna go in and fill in this area, this section, and down into the tail. More water. You don't have to fill in all of it, but this is a good time to make some strands of hair, the way you want your hair to be, feathers. I'm gonna go into the back of the tail where this part's darker. Okay, we got our tail. Part right there, I want a smidge lighter, so I'm going to take off some of the paint, and right here. Okay, let's do his chin area. Get a lot of water in there. We're going to do this section. It shows, if you were looking at it with the, just by the photograph, you would think it's white, but it isn't. As well as the white of these wings. We're going to just add touches of this gray. And then we can move on down to the bottom part of the wing. Now this is more of the brown gray that we used up here. So I'm going to add a little bit more burnt sienna to my mixture. And make it more watery. That looks like a pretty color. You want to go on the more warmer gray side, more of the brownish gray, then you do the full-on gray. There we are. From this section. This right here is where my tree is, so I'm not gonna try to do that area. gonna go back through here once this is dry and add in some of our lines for our bird's wings. And then we will finish this portion right here with a lighter gray color as well. We'll be back once that's dry. All right, most of our bird is dry, so now we are going to move on. We are going to grab our let's grab our number 2 brush. And we're gonna work on our branch. We're gonna take our gray mixture that we made earlier. This time, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. I want a greenish gray. All right. Here, just use this. Okay, so we got our mixture made up. We're going to take it and work on our branches. Right here is a big highlight. So I'm just going to do the top portion dark gray in this. The top portion of this is going to be darker than the rest of it and the rest of our branch. Excuse me. Okay, so we lost a little bit of the tree that I was working on. And I was saying to take the gray, put with your number 2, take the gray, put it into this, and then drop in some of your burnt sienna into your gray and mix it up a little bit. That way it gives it an automatic dimension, 3-dimensional look. So once we get all that in, we're gonna take some kind of pointy scraper or something that has a sharp edge on it. Do not use the knife part. You do not want to cut the paper. So do not cut your paper. We just take this. I'm gonna use the tip of it, this side. And I'm going to make little scrapes in the wood every once in a while to give me a bark kind of texture. And then we're also going to go through our bird. You don't need to cut through the paper, just scrape it a little. And also go through the paper, or go through the bird and make the same kind of marks on the bird if we need to. Take the edge. There you go. This gives you an automatic 3-dimensional look to your tree branches. Okay, so the branch is done. Then we're going to go back into the bird and then we should be done. Now on our bird, we need to finish up the tail area. we got a really dark tail, some dark lines through it, and we finish these up. Feathers. And then, so we got that area done. I'm gonna go ahead and add some more areas up here. Or a really dark blue slash brownish color, and make a dark gray is almost black, navy bluish color. I'm going to do some lines, little triangles that go down from the bird's neck in an angle, staggered, kind of like bricks. You can skip the details like this if you would like. You don't have to do them. Doing that, then I'm going to go ahead and go up with these to show the feather, the shape of the feathers. Go ahead and blacken up the tip of the beak more. And then add some blue on the top because it seems to be have a bluish, little blue on the top of this beak. And then I'm going to take the dark black color that we almost made, and I'm going to add it to the wing. I'm going to go down in lines, feathers. With my small detail brushes. Alrighty. Now the last bit of bird is right here. I'm going to add a little gray here. I'm going to be kind of not perfect with it because we want some white in it left over. I'm going to add a little bit of this splotches of this dark blue. There's our tail. All right, now that we finished up some of our background off camera because it wouldn't save, it was full, I'm going to take off the tape because our painting is finished. If anybody wants to like, subscribe, and share this video, I'd be really grateful. And comment down below what else you would like to see painted, or different kind of mediums you would like to see used in this. And there we have it, our bird. Thank you for watching, and Have a healthy next few months. Try to stay healthy, stay inside. Bye-bye.